OpenGL is this complicated thing that you need to learn if you want 3D graphics in your game, so I'm going to explain it with memes. Maybe you just want to know how it works, so you can impress girls, or you just want to know how to start. I got you covered, and at the end of the video, I will tell you exactly where to learn OpenGL from. OpenGL was created by Silicon Graphics in 1992, and it is just a standard to communicate with graphic devices. You tell your GPU I want this triangle, and your GPU places it on the screen. Initially, OpenGL was very limited. You could draw 3D shapes, and there were some pre-made features, like lights, but that was it. If you wanted light, you told OpenGL to enable light, but you didn't really have control over how it works. But then, in 2004, shaders were fully introduced, allowing the user to code whatever effects they wanted, and render things however they liked. So, how does OpenGL work? Well, it all starts with triangles. Everything in computer is made out of triangles. Why triangles? Well, because they are the simplest shape there is. So from multiple triangles, you can create anything you want basically. Now hold on a second, the screen is a 2D thing. How do we display a 3D triangle on it? For this, we use some math. Specifically, linear algebra matrix stuff. These things that you learn in school turned out to be useful, but I will explain this later. So now, how do we write this in OpenGL? Well, it's easy. Make a buffer, bind the buffer, send data to the buffer, send the buffer layout, write another shade, compile the shade, bind everything together, and pray to the OpenGL gods that you did everything correctly. And you now get a black screen. No idea why. Okay, I'm kidding here. Let's look at these concepts slowly, so you can understand them. Jokes aside, I think the first chapters of OpenGL are the hardest, and usually feel like this for a beginner. Because you have to go through a ton of new information all at once. But once you get past that point, learning becomes extremely satisfying. The computer becomes your sandbox, and you can make whatever you want. So if you need help there, check out my fail-proof OpenGL for Beginners course, where I explain all of these beginner concepts in depth. Link in the description for a special limited discount. Back to our triangle. This triangle is made out of some coordinates and colors. We can take those coordinates and colors and write them in code like so. But then, we need to somehow move all of them to the GPU. Why? Because it's faster for the GPU to read it. The GPU has some memory called the VRAM, and it's super close to the GPU, so the GPU can read it super fast and draw it. And for this we create a buffer. A buffer just stores the data on the GPU. So we create it, we send the data to it, and also tell OpenGL how to read that data. Like in this case, we have 3 flows for position and 3 flows for color. Now we can almost draw this data, but first we need a shader. A shader just tells OpenGL how to actually draw the triangle, and you write it in a language very similar to C, and this code will run on your GPU. There are multiple types of shaders, but we only care about 2 right now. We have a vertex shader that can move the triangle on the screen. And spoiler alert, this is where 3D calculations happen. And then we have a fragment shader that tells the GPU how to color pixels of the triangle. And now you have a triangle. You take that triangle and show it to a girl. But when she asks you what kind of buffers you used, you panic and she starts laughing. Don't worry, that was all a dream. You don't talk to girls in real life. But now, how do we take this triangle and add some 3D thickness to it? Well, as I mentioned earlier, we will use a matrix for this. You know how far away things get smaller and closer to the center of our view? Some people just wrote a formula for that and place it into this matrix. So, all we need to do to get 3D is take the points of the triangles, multiply them with that matrix, and the results are 2D coordinates that you can just place on the screen. This will get us from a virgin flat 2D triangle to a Chad 3D triangle. Just make sure you complete your math lessons every day, or else 3 Blue 1 Brown will visit you at night. But now that you have 3D, your journey has just started. There is so much stuff to add now, like lights, animations, effects, shadows, and soon you'll have your own 3D engine. And I made this video where I talk about all the things you can do and learn in OpenGL if you want more inspiration. Finally, how to learn OpenGL. The best free resources out there are learnopengl.com and this tutorial series by Jamie King. Jamie King explains 3D stuff super nice. Now, to display stuff on the screen, you'll need a window, so you need the library to open a window for you. Jamie King uses Qt, but never use that. It is horrible, 0 out of 10, worst thing ever. Use GLFW. And also, don't bother with linking libraries. It's horrible, and the instructions here are also horrible. Just use this video made by me, where I just give you already linked libraries for OpenGL that you can use on any IDE, and they come with error reporting code for OpenGL. IMGUI already configured, and everything you need to start OpenGL. And you can learn about how I did these things later. And in order to understand the mess involved, also watch the linear algebra series from 3 Blue 1 Brown. If you follow these instructions, you will have your triangle in no time. But if you still struggle, you can also check out my course. The difference is that my course only focuses on the beginner stuff, but I go very slowly through them, and in detail. So if you struggle to put your first triangle on the screen, because there is just too much information and nothing works, this course will clear that for you, and you will get your first triangle in no time. After that, Learning more advanced concepts in OpenGL will be easy, since you have a super solid foundation. So check out the link in the description, and it might have a special offer. See you there!